Today's reflection is a little different. And those of you who are educators following this, you know that this is a weird time of year when you're packing up and you're leaving. And I just want to ask you, what do you do when you are leaving campus? What do you do to clean up? Backtrack. What do you do before that? What do you do during your last days? And does it make it easier for you or more difficult? I'm going to share something with you. When a couple years ago, kids wrote on the board, "Have a great spring break. See you when we come back." And this little girl said, "Hey, can I write that up there?" I said, "Can I write a message to you up there?" I said, "Sure." I went into the hall for passing period. She ran in, she wrote the message, and she took off. And I left it there because I wanted to point it out and say, "Hey, look, see, I kept it, and I think it's great." And unfortunately, that was the year of the COVID lockdowns, and she didn't come back. She graduated that year, but I left it on the board. It's obviously gone now. It was a different classroom, but I left it on that board for as long as I could. Even when we came back in September to start the new school year, it was gone. I printed, because I took a picture of it, took a photograph of it. I printed that picture, a picture of her words, and I put it on the board because it meant so much to me. And I've always been cognizant and really mindful of what kids write on the board, what I write on the board, because it's important. For example, I've erased most of this because it was a lot of end of year nonsense, but a student happened to sneak in behind me yesterday before I left and wanted to advertise to the world that my favorite student was here. Now, they're all my favorite students. I can't say, "Oh yeah, she definitely is or isn't." I mean, it's like your kids or whatever. It's like, who's your favorite? You're all my favorite, right? But that makes it easier and more difficult as I pack up, as I leave. And oftentimes it's not even what they put on the board, it's what I put on the board that is a little more difficult to close down. I mean, here, we had competitions in class. And this is, a number of points students would accumulate, and those are my top 5. And I mean, not the top 5, all of them. These were my kids that were quiet and silent and didn't say boo to anybody, especially to me. God forbid they talk to me. But when it came to those competitions that we had, they were the most vocal, the most active, and I'm stuck now having to erase this, even though those points in that date is like a month old by now. I kept it up there for them as a reminder that I do care about them and I do acknowledge them. And here I am struggling with erasing those names from the board because I don't want to erase their achievements. They've gone so far. What kind of educator are you? Do you look at stuff like that and say, my kids have gone so far, I don't want to take any of that away from them. I want to leave it up as long as I can, even though they're not here, just so I can continue to acknowledge their accomplishments, their greatness. I mean, let's be real. Sorry about the camera action. Let's be real. I didn't give them the knowledge for that. I didn't bring any of that. That's them. 100% them. That's their work, their accomplishment. Those numbers reflect the data that they had from the exercises that we did. And what did I do? Nothing. I just sat there and I tallied the points. I asked the questions, they answered, and I tallied the points. I'm going to go sit my butt down over here. So as an educator, while this gives me great joy, right there next to my desk, while it gives me great joy, and they're all great kids, but especially Ricardo up there. I look at the name Ricardo, and Ricardo, this is my third year, I think, of having Ricardo, and this is the first time he's shown any effort. Not only did he show effort, he showed the best possible achievement out of all of my classes, all of my students, which I believe this year counted to 130 something. And I'm so proud of him. Not to say I'm not just as proud as Victor, Eduardo, Emiliano, and Ralph, but it's just one of those, now I have to erase it. Now I have to erase that board and prepare this room for the next person. For the next Ricardo. For the next Emiliano. This is amazing. This is what we do. You want to know why teaching is so hard? Think about it. If you are a teacher, I really want you to think about why education is so hard for you. If you're not a teacher, but you're still in the world of education, why is it hard for you? Is it hard because the work is hard? I don't think there's a single teacher here on any campus who believes that teaching in and of itself is hard. You have the information, you have the practice tests, you have the exercise sheets, you have the lesson plan, you have all this great stuff that's come to us from these sages that are out on high somewhere. Teaching's easy. I'm going to be real with you. Teaching is easy. Grading papers is easy. Jiminy Cricket, I've been grading essays for 17 years now, and I mean, it gets a little frustrating because it feels like they don't get it sometimes, but that's the easy part. You have a rubric, you follow it, you give it a grade. This is the hard part. When you become so emotionally invested in a group of kids, and you look at the desks, you look at the empty desks, and you can still see their faces, you can still hear their voices. That's the hard part. If you are a good educator, you become emotionally invested in your work, and your work is the students. You must be emotionally invested if you want to be successful at this career. This is it, guys. Think about how emotionally invested you are in your students. If you believe, and I'm just throwing this out there because I know I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, but you don't like it, too bad, make your own video, I guess. If you believe that list of 5 names on my board is just 5 names, Sure, erase it, no big deal, who cares? If you believe that and you're a teacher, and you're an AP, and you're a principal, and you're a counselor, and you're whatever in this building, if you believe that, I highly suggest you reevaluate why you're doing what you're doing, why you're working at a campus. Because Ricardo, Victor, Eduardo, Emiliano, and Ralph are not just names. They're students that have busted their butts. They are students that have made great progress. And they are students that remind me why I do what I do, where I do it. My dear friends who are watching this, you need that passion. I'm not saying be as passionate as I am. I'm different. This is me. This is how I reflect it. But you need to remember why you're doing what you're doing. You need to continue to have the emotional currency to put into this. Because this is not an easy job. Physically, it's not demanding. Mentally, it's simple. But emotionally, that's the trick. Emotionally, that's the trick. And so with the rest of you, I am looking at the ghosts of what was in here. And now I prepare for a summer to prepare for the next school year. Be well, my friends.